My family and I moved into a house in northern Alabama, surrounded by woods with some of the tallest trees I've ever seen. The closest house is probably half a mile away. Our home is quite creepy, painted a faint blue with an old wraparound porch and an old red door. Trees surround the sides of the house, but there's a giant empty field behind it. One night, I decided to make a bonfire to burn some of the trash and wood scattered around the yard. I set up my fold-out chair, cracked open a beer, and propped my legs up on a tree stump. Suddenly, I heard a clicking noise coming from the left side of the woods, like the annoying clicking sounds kids make with their tongues. I brushed it off, assuming it was a strange bird. The noise grew louder, almost as if it wanted me to investigate. "Anybody out there?" I called softly. Click, click, click. I convinced myself it was just a bird and walked over to my truck to turn on some music. As I sat back down, I saw the trees moving on the right side of the forest. Though nervous, I chalked it up to a big dog or something natural. The fire began to dim when I heard a new noise, a whisper repeating, "Anybody," over and over. Thinking it was interference from the radio, I ran to turn it off. As I reached into my truck, I heard loud footsteps behind me. "Anybody, anybody," the voice whispered. I looked around but couldn't see anyone in the dark, just miles of trees and my house far in the distance. Then I saw something peering from behind a tree. Squinting to make out its shape, I realized it knew I had seen it. It crouched lower, tall and skinny, making me feel sick. It wasn't human. It got on all fours, trying to stay hidden. I walked towards it, and it ran around the fire into the woods. Panicking, I grabbed my cell phone and sprinted to the truck, dialing 911. 911, what's your emergency? There's something outside my house. It looks like a tall, naked man. We will send an officer your way, sir. Please find somewhere safe until we arrive. Hurry. I think it's watching me, please. Then I heard the clicking noise right in my ear. I looked over, and it was in the truck with me. It was so dark I hadn't noticed it. Shining my phone's light on the figure, I saw its fast-moving eyes, protruding ribs, blood-stained hands, and long fingernails. It had no hair, just dull gray skin. I jumped out of the truck and sprinted to the house, locking the doors behind me. Looking out the back window, I saw it standing by the fire, its head twitching. It slowly looked up at me and pointed. The cops arrived to find nothing. I couldn't fully explain what I saw for fear of sounding insane. I was so scared for my family. My friend came over in the morning, and we searched the woods for about an hour and a half. Around 5:30 a.m., we found a cleared spot about half a mile from our house, littered with dead animals and carcasses. In the middle of the circle, I found my truck keys, missing the house key. We searched until 9 a.m. but didn't find the creature. That was the end of it. We never saw the creature again, but I swear on I saw that night.
6 years ago, when I was 12 and my brother was 26, we went on a backpacking trip in northern Alabama's Sipsey Wildernes. My brother, a Green Beret preparing for his second deployment to the Middle East, thought it would be a great bonding experience before he left for 9 months. The trip was uneventful until the third night. Around 8 p.m., we had set up camp, eaten dinner, and were sitting by the fire talking. Our spot was about 50 yards from a stream and another 50 yards downhill from a path. Just before it got dark, two guys in their late 20s wandered up and asked if we had seen any hogs. We had, and we told them so. Despite their politeness, their dirty clothes and scraggly appearance gave me a creepy vibe. They stayed longer than they should have, asking questions about our stay. Eventually they left, but I felt uneasy. My brother, however, seemed unfazed. Fast forward a few hours. My brother and I were asleep in our tent when I woke to the sound of dogs barking, close and getting closer. My heart pounded. I kicked my brother awake and he whispered, "Stay still and don't make any sounds." He explained that the hunters were using dogs to pin down hogs before shooting them, trying to reassure me. Around 2 a.m., my brother shook me awake, telling me to quietly put on my shoes and follow him. Outside the tent, he told me to get on his back, and he carried me about 50 yards into the woods. We hid in some bushes on a hill with a clear view of our campsite. As we lay there, I heard the distinct sound of a pistol slide. My brother had his pistol out, watching the camp. The hunters, 5 in total with several dogs, reached our campsite. The dogs went crazy, smelling our scent. The hunters lingered, shining flashlights and talking. My brother whispered, "If they come towards us, run. Don't stop, don't look back, and look for the flashing lights." He handed me a flashlight with a red filter to preserve night vision. Suddenly, the hunters started shouting and firing into the woods. My brother dragged me behind the hill's crest, protecting us from gunfire. They fired a few more shots before walking away. Then a siren blared, and emergency lights flashed through the woods. My brother had called the Forest Service office on a satellite phone while I was asleep. Forest Service officers and game wardens had arrived. We packed up and met the game warden, who gave us a ride back. My brother told me how brave I was and promised not to tell our parents if I didn't want to. Creepy rednecks in the woods. Let's not meet again. Next time you might get shot.
I used to live across the street from the Egg Beater Christ on Governors. I lived on Princeton Ave, first house on the left. It's blue with a screened-in porch. You'll see it every time if you're coming from the Parkway going towards the hospital. I lived there 5 years ago with my family, and that house is most definitely haunted. The basement had no walls, just dirt. Very eerie, disturbing feeling when you're down there. I only went down there once, never again. The bathroom door would open and shut while you took a shower. Handprints that were way too large to be any one of my family's would appear on the bathroom mirrors in the condensation after a shower. Items that I knew for a fact were left on a certain surface, I would find in an extremely odd place hours later. The spookiest incident of all was when I was sitting on my laptop in the living room one night, in the dark with my earphones on. The kitchen was behind me, and the stove light was on, so it was shining a small patch of light on the wall in front of me. I saw a very large figure pass slowly in front of the light, casting a shadow on the wall in front of me. My stepdad is 5, 8, and my little brother is 5, 7. This person was at least 6'5". I got up slowly and turned around. Nothing. Checked my parents' room. Both were dead asleep. My brother was too. Very terrifying. I went to the Huntsville Public Library and did some research after all of this crap happened. I went in thinking I'd be there an hour, ended up spending the majority of the day there. The home was built in 1925 to house folks who worked at the Low Mill. The mill was expanding and needed more housing for the employees. It had one owner for the first 30 years, and I found an obituary in the archived newspaper clippings that coincide with a date a few months before the house changed hands, matching the name of the original owner. She died in the house. The next owner owned it from the late 50s all the way to the late 80s. From the dates in the book, it changed hands again in the 80s. I looked up the woman's name in the obituaries for 1 year after. Nothing. I looked up the husband's name in the obituaries and found him. This fella also died in the house. Engineer from Brownsboro, according to census records, and by all accounts, a very big man. Also, on a side note, my stepdad is a Marine. He's a very tough guy, and after a 12-month stint in Iraq, he really doesn't get rattled by anything anymore. Apparently, he told my mom, who told me, that he saw something in the basement when we were moving some boxes down there. He wouldn't let my mom go down there by herself after that, and would never tell her what he saw. To this day, we don't know what he saw because he won't say, but my mom said it's the only time she's ever seen him rattled.
I hope you found these stories as chilling and unsettling as I did. It's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be stranger and more frightening than fiction. If you enjoyed these tales of suspense, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. This is your host, Nicholas Black. Until next time.